Welcome back to the channel. So today we are going to be putting on $100 coilovers. And yeah, now it looks like a decent car. So last video with the Celica, we put on these wheels. Everything looks good except for that tire's leaking and this car is way too high. Besides it being way too high, this is what it looks like when you have way too many projects going on and you still haven't cleaned up from the last project. Don't ask. Don't ask about that. Don't ask about that. Okay, first things first, to start, we got to take off these Vors VR7 wheels, 15 by 9 in the back and 15 by 8 in front, zero offset. The best wheels ever. Thanks to these hub-centric spacers, the lug nuts came off pretty easy. Okay, so I got some top secret suspension that I'm hoping is going to work with this car. But I also want to address some issues like this 4-link is busted and this panhard bar. The bushing is shot. And when I say top secret suspension, I mean cheapest of the cheapest of the cheapest. Budget. Behold, this box is from 2020 and I bought these coilovers to put on to my AE72 hardtop that has the beams in it because they're $100. They are max speeding rods. The internet's most favorite coilover ever. The best coilover. So obviously the fronts I'm going to just chop and weld to the strut housing. So I gotta grind off all these doodads. And as for the rear, it is a divorced setup. And the spring diameter almost looks the same diameter as the Celica. Like, tell me that is not going to work. That's going to fit. The only issue that I see here, these rear shocks are going to be way too short and it has the wrong mount on there. So I might have to make some doodads, and it has the wrong bushing on this side. Okay, so just thinking out loud, should I start on the front first or on the rear? I think we should start on the front first. Yeah. Luckily, I have some spare housings that might fit, spare strut casings, so I don't have to mangle the OEM stuff. Only thing is, I still have to take off the brake assembly and the hub assembly. Jam a screwdriver in here. Get your caliper off. Let your caliper dangle gracefully. Get your baby hammer. Strike through screwdriver. You are rewarded. Pull out the cotter pin. Pull out the nut. 30. It's a 30. It's only hand loose. Okay, get this doodad and wobble it out. We're already here, so we're just going to take off the dust shield and caliper bracket. Should probably drop the tops on these first. You grab your 17, just shoot it off. Push down on this knuckle, and this whole thing will just kind of fall out. Digging out these spare housings, they look exactly the same. And then the caliper bracket literally lines right up. No difference. So it's always a good idea to inspect these, make sure the thread's not bent, make sure the thread's not stripped, make sure the actual housing's not bent. A little bit of rust that will scotch right off. But I think this should be a good strut housing. Check out this OEM weld that's contaminated because there wasn't enough gas coverage or there was contamination. Check that out. Okay, so this is the passenger side. I'm gonna go ahead and get the driver's side done. We'll start chopping and we'll ask questions later. The coilover side by side with the strut housing. If I weld to the very bottom of that, my total length will be around there. So let's take this off. I feel like the car will be pretty slammed and have no droop if I weld it directly to the very bottom. But this sleeve is kind of big, so I almost don't have a choice. Start off by cutting off these brackets. We'll just cut off the ears, but we'll leave these bolts. I don't think I'm gonna make it any prettier than this. It'd be nice if that was flush, and we're just gonna leave this. So now I'm gonna chop the strut housing. Give it 2 inches of meat here. Professional free ballers. I love me a Ryobi bandsaw. There is a lot of play here. I think the best thing to do, or only thing to really do, is clean up this really well. Clean up the inside, measure it, and I will 3D print a little sleeve, and that's going to keep everything centered. And of course it's going to melt when I weld it, but it's going to keep things kind of hub centric, because this actually sits pretty flat on here. Plug weld this. So what I would do is drill holes here, right? Drill holes and just bridge the weld. That's going to help keep it together. So we're going to use this little stripper pad here just because we're just trying to take out the paint. Okay, cleaner than before. Just a little detail work. We're just going to get a file and just file all around here. After some measuring, some chamfering, some beveling, some drilling, the plug weld, I have this sleeve that's broken because I was originally just going to pull it out when I was done. But I think I'm just going to leave it in because I have one printing at the same time, and if it melts, it melts, right? So what this does is this centers the coilover there. Definitely too long. Okay, we'll just real quick redesign this with a bigger OD. Okay, so this is probably as much precision as I'll need here. Get this mocked up, and then we can tack. We can tack at the base. We are almost out of argon. Almost out. Well, we're just gonna tack weld this. Just a little tack. I'll fill that up and grind that down later, and then we'll TIG weld this whole outer piece. Okay, the other issue with this is the camber plate's not going to match up. I need to re-drill these holes. So we'll do what we do best. Okay, so if we go up here and I align this, we will keep this hole and we'll re-drill the rest. Yeah, depending where I drill this or which hole I drill, I'll have more camber or I might have more caster. Just to keep things simple, I'm just gonna redrill this one. I'm gonna knock out these two. We'll just put this low quality hardware on here. Tap this thing out. The other one on. Tap, tap. Alright, so I can mock this one up. I mean, we're just like in between holes here. Okay. Good job. Same deal here. I'm just gonna free ball this. We're just gonna visualize our win. Okay. So if I go with the stepper, it might push over and offset. Realistically, I would need a mill to make these holes clean. Definitely gonna walk. Look at that. With enough hammering, you too can press in a stud with a chunk of metal missing. Okay. I think we can just kind of smash this in and we'll be okay. There we go. Let's see if it fits. Look at that. Cool. We're going to assemble it, even though this thing's just tacked. Right? I guess this is a safe amount of thread for a coilover. We will get our camber plate. Alright, so you see those extra holes here? We didn't put the bolts through there so we could get more camber. I mean, eyeballing the droop, that doesn't look bad at all. Worst case scenario, I could 3D print little camber plate spacers. But yeah, we'll just go ahead and weld this up and paint this and call it a day. Okay, there it is. Nice and hot. I think I did okay. Alright, so bolted this thing back up, and then now we painted this black, so that looks OEM. And now we just need to put it all together and see where it sits. Welcome to the next day. I did the fronts already. All I have to do is the rear. The front looks pretty decent. I mocked up the wheel, and we're going to have to roll this because that's already rubbing on the previous setup. Here's the passenger side. Not as great of welds. I ended up getting the MIG welder out because I don't think I cleaned it good enough. It was just a lot of porosity. But that should hold. I did another plug weld there. So yeah, we just need to clean the rust off of these and then throw the hubs on here and bolt up the brakes. And then we can roll these fenders. I couldn't find my fender roller, so I went to good old Amazon. Bought the cheapest Amazon fender roller. This was about $31. Could have got a brand new one for $34. This is supposed to be returned or used, Amazon warehouse. Almost looks like the original packaging. The reviews on these were really bad, and I think I have this upside down. Hold on. Okay, so yeah, of course we gotta put her together. This is like a whole nother separate video. Okay, definitely a lot of tweaking and tolerance issues here, but regardless, I have this on the lowest setting. and it's still too tall. I mean, I could just modify this fender roller to, you know, I could just shorten this piece so the roller is lower. Just because, yeah, we're like right here. I need to go down like 3 inches. Which, yeah, I should have just really rolled this before I put the coilovers on. So note to self, roll your fenders with your stock suspension first. Which doesn't make sense because you don't know how low or how much clearance. But yeah, we're going to have to lift up this whole setup. Yeah, here I am talking about doing it while it's stock. Here I am smashing my car. Yeah, look at that. That should be fine. But then that brings us back to the same old issue. How much is too much? We'll just roll it flush. I guess we're rolling fenders. Okay, so we need to start on the rear. I'll do my best to keep the paint in good condition. We'll just get a heat gun and essentially I'm just using the spot welds as kind of like a marker on how far to go. But the majority of the rub is going to be up here. Maybe more here so because I feel like the way the body is, it curves in. Just because it gets stiffer with the fender roller on this side actually. Alright, then I'm just going to take the hammer, because this is a lot faster than rolling, just to bend the lip up, because it's kind of down. Okay, so what you do is you get your $31 fender roller, snug it down. Then once you snug it down, literally just work it back and forth. Essentially, we're just smoothing out the hammer marks that we did, and it's doing a great job. Okay, upon further inspection, I think we're decent. That's rolled just enough. And for the fronts, we're just gonna take a hammer to it. First the mallet to bend it up, then we'll finish it off with a. Alright, I didn't even bother taking the heat gun. I'm just adding more patina to it. That is definitely better than before. Not too worried about it rubbing. Just gonna do a bolt check. Tighten our bottom struts, right? Tighten our knuckles. Tighten our top hats. Lock our collars just in case this is the desired height. And then zip tie our brake lines so they don't jump around. I'm hoping I don't have to adjust this like 50 times, but it looks good at full droop. All right, this is it at full droop. Not sure how much it's gonna compress, but looks like we'll just clear the fender. All right, so that's pretty hella flush right now. And I'm expecting this to drop probably like 2 inches. So yeah, this side, I mean, the steering wheel's cocked over to the right. But looking at this, we're definitely towed out. Definitely. We're still hella flush. Time to put on these springs. We'll see what we have to do to modify it. Alright, blast off your 14 mil. Bunch of safety wire on here because when I bought the car, there was no bolts. So definitely a aerospace fix right there. Cut this off. Get your pry bar. Give her a good pry. It's not gonna fall on you because there's a 4-link here. Hopefully. Okay. Free. Now we can push it down more and get the springs out. Get your Harbor Freight pry bar again. Make sure you're not pulling on the brake lines, which we are. And then, yeah, kind of finagle these out without smashing your finger. Right up from the top. There we go. With enough brute force, you can do anything. Get your high quality max speeding rod. And I think we'll be fine. I think we'll be okay. Let's see if that adjuster fits on top. All right, this I guess is just gonna sandwich up in there. It's gonna be a friction fit, eventually get stuck. So this is the setup. My issue is this is gonna be too high, even with this down. And I will simulate and jack it up so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Load up the rear end, right around there. Yeah. All right, we'll get this wheel on. This is full droop. So what we'll do for now is not put this in. It's gonna sit a lot lower. So let's get this all the way up. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, there we go. We're seating. And we don't have adjustment. It's a decent height, but still not enough adjustment. I have cut a coil. How much? This much. Or 2 coils. Technically 2. Right? 1, 2. Whatever you do, don't do what I do. It's very important you make sure this seat's on the actual seat there. Set this one in place. Make sure this pole is centered or else it's going to try to shoot out from under you. Make sure your shocks aren't binding. Make sure your springs and adjusters are going into the slot. Let's get the wheel on. Okay. This is a good ride height, right? We also have room to lift it. Not much room to lower it anymore, but we don't even have the weight of the car. So there's the front, there's the rear. All we need to do is make these shocks work. Okay, so more or less I made this piece, and this piece will attach up here, right there, and this will extend the shock. And more or less I used a 12 by 1.25 lug nut, and it did not weld that great. I don't know if this metal's just shitty, but I ended up grinding it down and it warped because I had it in the vise and I tacked one side and I kept welding. So I cut off the top and I used a step drill, and then I tapered this, and this became kind of like a press fit. But I'm literally going to press this guy in, friction fit, and spin it around in the lathe. That's pretty straight to me. So the trick is we tack one side, tack the other, and don't let it warp. Alright, I got 2 of these doodads, and it's literally just going to screw on top of here. But we probably got a good 3 inches here of it. And then just put the bushing on top just like that, like nothing happened. So we got the shock extended, right? Gave us 3 inches. The bottom bushing was the wrong bushing. It didn't fit. It was a steel insert, so I 3D printed my own, and that should go right in here. A little bit of Dawn, and then There we go. Hammering on a 3D printed bushing. It is in there. We have the bushing in place. And essentially we just need to compress. There we go. We got the dingaloids here in the corner. And we got the suspension on. Let's take out this sketchy bar. Oh yeah, let's put that on. And let's make sure this doesn't get frayed. That is going to be kind of close. All right, so this is always the ultimate moment after putting coilovers on your car. Lowering it and seeing how low it actually is. And if you need to make any changes. Plus, I'm going to align the car, align the toe. Oh yeah. Obviously it has to settle, front and rear. Definitely needs an alignment, but looking like a car. So now we're gonna decide, right? We're like half inch toe out. I'm gonna visually see that this side's straight. So I'm only gonna adjust this side. Yeah, 64 and an eighth, and then 65 and a quarter. So I'm gonna manually make this tie rod longer to tow it in. And you'll be able to see what I'm doing right now. You see it moving? Okay. And what's nice is if you put cardboard underneath the wheels, there's no drag. Okay. Take our measurement. Now check out this tape, Burn Dog. You see we're right at 65, front and rear. You see that? We're pretty much zero toe. 65, 65. So I'm gonna lock it down right there. And one thing I notice is mud flap is a little low and I have an exhaust leak. Another thing is my foot is literally right here. I mean, they're coilovers. What else do you expect, right? Went from super soft to super stiff. Well, it definitely looks better than before. And yeah, now it looks like a decent car. So far, no rubbing. And the wheel fitment is pretty good. Not too shabby. If anything, I consider this wheel fitment perfect. That is beautiful. Look at that. Not too shabby. Okay, so I'm really happy with the results of this car. It drives good, it runs good, it doesn't rub, and it definitely looks way better than before. Not too shabby. Shout out to Vor's Wheels. So like I said, I couldn't get the center cap on the front, but I did just kind of polish the hub ring. So that looks way better. Alright guys, thanks for wasting time with me. Join me next week where we waste more time.